This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we'll call to order the Monterey Select Board July 28th meeting at 6 p.m. We have all members of the board present here in town hall. And our first order of business is meeting with the fire chief to get some updates, discussion, how things are going. There's some turnover, some changes, and some new hires in the works, so you want to give us an update? I think last meeting we had talked about with the deputy fire chief leaving, how do you want to fill that position? Do you want to hire for another deputy fire chief? Do you want to hire for a shift commander, as Roger put it?
I've given a fair amount of thought to how we're gonna make this transition. I'm in a pretty terrible spot right now with him leaving. So I had my eyes on one or two pool of 54 or 58 applicants for the firefighter EMT position. We interviewed those yesterday, and one or two definitely has potential to fill that position. After discussion, leaving it added as a deputy chief, not feeling comfortable until everybody at the department and that person that takes the job or potentially takes the job feels comfortable jiving with each other. And actually one said that they would not take an officer position until they knew that everybody was feeling that this was going to work, because this is kind of an odd situation in a small department to hire a deputy chief from God knows who knows where at this point. So that's where I'm at. With the board's permission, I'd like to speak to further with them about possibly moving into that position going forward. Still have 4 more interviews tomorrow. Yeah, 4 more interviews tomorrow. Some really good candidates. It's going to be a tough decision to who gets those slots out of the 12 people.
That's a good position to be in.
Yes. So.
With that candidate not wanting to step up to deputy chief or even an officer, you then see that as a shift supervisor, like what you're gonna call it, a shift supervisor?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna reclassify the commander role to a supervisor role, because just the definitions of those classes, supervisor fits better than shift commander to what they're doing. So in the role, in the chain of command of fire departments. So that's what I'm leaning towards. And yeah, in the future, whether it's 6 months or a year, when everybody's feeling like it's the right move, then create that officer position back there if it's warranted. So
the assistant chief position.
deputy chief.
The deputy.
Yep, because very quickly you can have somebody come in and undermine and just blow the whole place up, and there's going to be nobody when it's done. So as it's going, without the support of town hall, not saying that's for us, but the look of not having the support of town hall is undermining enough as it is up there. So people are pretty upset with what happened the last 2 weeks. So.
Well, could you speak to that? I mean, what is it that you see as not the support of town hall?
Well, what brought this condition on was the complaining of the multiple residents on the outside being not stymied by this building. in slowing that up. I'm not saying there wasn't attempts to, but there's quite a bit of nastiness out there. A few weeks ago, we were on a scene with Otis up on Terryham Road, and when they were leaving, they got berated as they left. They're not needed in this town, they're not wanted in this town. Pretty disgusting stuff. There was a firefighter's wife berated on the side of the road at the top of the hill after she delivered his dinner to him that night. Why are the firefighters' wives getting picked on? This has nothing to do with them. It's complete BS. It's gotta stop. And there just seems to be a slow stream of gas onto this fire behind the scenes. There's a lot of toxicity out there, and people just can't deal with it anymore.
I think it's fair to say that when members of the public act rudely in public, that's the town hall that's responsible.
This is a whirlwind that's picking up speed and not getting, the structure fire is getting bigger, not smaller. Email with Justin the other day. I appreciated his response to try to get rhetoric slowed down, calm, most best you can. We can't, I understand can't stop it all. There's questions, they deserve to be answered, but they have to come forward in a respectful way through the board. The door's always open up there. Nobody shows up to ask questions, but you just hear nonstop crap on the street. I mean, it was happening at the steakhouse the other night. Had people just making nasty comments, and people were pretty put off in the fire department, so.
It's strange that they would come, pay money for.
That's what I thought too,
and then-
yeah. So, a few of them were straightened out. They just turned and walked away from the people answering the questions because they had all their questions answered and they had no more to say. So they didn't say thank you, they didn't say, they just turned around and walked away. So it's a very strange situation. The mental load of the firefighters is from the get-go. All the calls we do, PTSD, has been getting more extreme and more extreme, the stuff we're seeing. And then to come back and to deal with the political woes of this town is pushing people out. So, I mean, there's a handful that are looking at working here, but they're considering whether it's worth working here because this town is the talk of the politics, that it's that bad here. So I asked that the board try to slow this up and do the best you can to stop the nastiness.
I don't know what venue we have to stop people from behaving, they're not behaving badly in this room. We don't really, what are we gonna do, put out a gag order on anyone talking about that? Like, there's really not a way to do that.
But a lot of this stems back to the whole issue with Chris. And the way that.
No, this has been going on for 6 months, Ken.
What, for 6 months?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
this is
incident that
bad.
occurred with
That's
that woman.
before
I mean, the Roger
Oh,
Tryon stuff,
that's good,
come on.
it's before me.
the Roger Tryon stuff, and what's happening at Roadside,
What's happening at Roadside?
it's, I won't say that, but, there's a group there that undermines the fire department on a daily basis. So, we know who they are. We hear it, we walk in, we hear it, they turn away, they walk away from us. Trying not to let it bother me, but it's not fun. So, we're here to work together and work for the townspeople and serve them in the best possible way that we can. So So, back to hiring firefighters. We gotta get through tomorrow to really see what we have. It's gonna be a tough decision to make, but, we need to get them onboarded as quickly as we can once we make the decision, and hopefully go back the, decision from the three interviewers when it comes forward, so. We're gonna have to do, we're not gonna just, with your permission, we're not gonna jump on board and hire the one to fill that position without doing a bunch more research and talking and looking into the background of these individuals, so. Cause we wanna do our due diligence, and we need this to be right.
Would it be appropriate to put out an advertisement for that position as you imagine
That's a yes and no answer.
it?
The one specifically seems to be a pretty special individual. And I have no ties to that person. Met them for the first time yesterday. So I know there's people watching to see a deputy chief position advertised. Two things, I mean, it's been a lot of work to get through the 54, 58 candidates just for firefighter EMT, so,
I'm impressed that we're that many.
I
mean, I
it
know
was
it's
great,
good,
yes, it's great to see that there's that much interest in it, and, in wanting to do this, so. It might be opening up a hornet's nest. If we have somebody that might fit the position, and it's a well-rounded person, technology, websites, all the fire certificates you can dream of.
Is the person working now? He's not working now.
Just to clarify that question. Is he not working at all now, or is he not working in Monterey?
Not working in Monterey, has no ties to Monterey at all.
But he's working a job?
Working a job, yes. Yep. And not even sure they want the job, but, I would like to have some more discussions to see if they would be interested in the job, to see if it would fit, so.
And this is, so you're thinking of stepping up, of going, leaving off the assistant for now and stepping it down to another level with the idea that that person may move up into the assistant at another day?
They would still be in charge of the shift that they're on. And if it was just a run-of-the-mill call, they would be in charge of that unless another officer showed up to that scene. So they make the decision, for their 48-hour period that they're there, so, or a 6 or 12-month period. And then we would reconsider, give them the option in 6 to 12 months to, up to that position. The unfortunate part is they're not moving to town, which leaves a big hole. The response time when they're needed will be quite a long time, so,
Oh, really? They live away.
yeah.
Everybody lives away. So,
That's the biggest problem, is everybody is not here, so. That's the battle we battle.
Among the other candidates, is it looking like some people will live within Monterey?
One, yes. Or
Can we,
actually, one with, there's 3 candidates that are either living in Monterey or moving to Monterey in the next month or so.
Is it worth, you probably already gone through this in your head, is it worth giving them preference to the extent that when they're not on their 48, they're more likely to be available than someone who lives 10, 20 more minutes away?
Yes. I won't say preference, but definitely looking at their applications and reviewing them more heavily as a consideration. Again, we want people that will fit the goal of the fire department and fit in with the people that are there, so.
Well, the importance of making the assistant or whatever it is work seems to be critical to making the whole thing work. And I'm wondering if could there be a trial run or something? I mean, I guess you can't hire someone and if he's working already and say, we'll give it a try for 2 months and see what happens.
Okay, so one thing we can do, and it would limit the application pool, but it's not rare for a police chief, fire chief, et cetera, position to be, you must live within X distance of I know this has happened with the Sansfield County Administrator years ago. They said you must live within, or you must move within 6 months.
I think the hard part
It's
is,
limiting,
it's
but,
very, well.
but at the same time,
I think it's more,
it's a difference between them being available 48 hours every out of 6 days, or like Chris was, more.
But if you
Yeah,
know what the pool is, it may not be available.
I'd rather a little lesser qualified individual that's close versus a highly qualified individual that's 2 hours away.
Even for the
even for the upper
supervisory
position,
position?
even for the assistant position. I was talking
Yeah.
about the assistant position.
Yeah.
I can see it for the firefighters.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but, to try to find the right person to fit into the situation up there, seems to be a real critical part of the whole thing, so.
Because part of that whole thing is responding to, I use structure fires as the incidents and being able to work directly underneath me and having the firefighters underneath him, available or her, and watching. And it's just, because there's a high level of trust you have to put into people. Just because you show up with all the certificates does not mean that you're ready to do this job. So this one that I'm thinking of, it's about 30 minutes away, a little less. It's not ideal, but it could be a lot worse. So, and yes, as far as the firefighters, EMTs go, the closer we keep them, the better off we are. And I don't just want to hire somebody because they're living in the town of Monterey. But I think they deserve a better look, more consideration.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, because it makes them potentially available a lot more than 48 hours.
And so one of our questions is if you're not hired for the full-time position, are you interested in doing the per diem, on-call per diem stuff? And most of them say yes. Today we had one that wasn't interested in it, but.
Well, that's good news,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
But what I found, and my brother said the same thing, is that per diems, you can only get them to do so much. And
But that's why you need a bigger pool.
that's why I need a bigger pool, but it is pretty amazing when you send out the requests. They'll all group up at one end of the month, or at the end or at the beginning, and you can't say you have to, this is the date. It's up to them to give you the options that they can work on.
And I think that realistically, if we are talking not just about the regular firefighter EMT, but a supervisory position, it's hard, if they don't already live somewhere, it's hard to imagine them being able to move closer. Just given that, we know what the
Yeah,
housing
housing
situation
situation.
is, it's hard to imagine that that would even be possible. And I, more and more places are finding that same thing, where it used to be very possible. I think it's harder and harder. I mean, we are with our pollution. You know, for the same reason. Not that I don't support the idea of it, I'm just trying to be realistic. You know, how many minutes is too many? I don't know.
Well, there's also kind of it's not just a spectrum, like, there's some critical points, like if you live more than 15 minutes away or something, you're only gonna come on the absolute biggest calls, right?
That's right, yeah.
Like,
And you're still gonna be late.
Yeah.
Right.
20 minutes.
Right,
Sure.
right.
if you live beyond 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a
there's,
CPR call, if you're not there after 7 minutes, it's.
And, you know, a surgeon they can manage because they usually have people to
Right.
provide life support in the hospital until the surgeon can get there. But there's just a limit to what you can do. So I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just trying to be realistic about what kind of pool we're giving ourselves when we put that limit on it.
Well, the majority of candidates are from South County, right?
Or
Or
for
the-
the full-time
Yeah.
jobs. No,
No?
a
Really?
majority is within 45 minutes to an hour.
No,
There's
that's why the pool's so big.
a hand, yeah, I mean, and there was some long shots out there. I mean, there was one from California that applied, but at least they were honest, they put right in the bottom of the application. We are applying to every job that we possibly can
Yeah.
across the country, so,
Okay.
they weren't a consideration. So, on the one position, I'd like another week to do some research, talk to some more chiefs. Actually, I haven't talked to any chiefs about it yet, but talk to some chiefs, kind of game plan, what's the best path forward, to filling that vacancy.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, I think that's fine, yeah.
I
And
think
then
it's better
if-
to take the time and make a good choice.
yeah, I'm not ready to put my neck out there and say hire that person tonight.
Yeah.
I need another week to.
That's fine. It also works with, to go back to what we were talking about earlier, I'm still very concerned about this whole issue with where we're at, politically or whatever in the town, and we need to figure this out. And we can't continue kind of
No.
like fostering it and
It's
stuff,
not
so.
gonna work on either side.
What I'd like to do is find a time this week to sit down with you and try to understand where you're coming from in terms of this, because I'm really baffled by it, But I think I'd like to put it back on the agenda for next week, or the next select board meeting, which is in 2 weeks. And maybe have another discussion about this and try to figure this out, because it's not. I was really disappointed in Chris's letter. I was disappointed that he was leaving. I was disappointed in the fact that his letter threw the town under the bus. And I didn't understand that. I still don't understand it. So I would like to try to figure that out, because that seems to be critical to us moving ahead as a partnership. I mean, because we're all in this together. And if we're not working together, then we're at odds and it's not good.
I agree,
So,
I agree. I'll be there all day tomorrow,
done.
besides
Yep.
some phone calls and
I'll stop.
scheduling and everything else that's been
Oh,
loaded
sure.
on me.
Well, so I just need to figure out where you're coming from on this, because I don't understand it. I'm really in the dark on it, so. But that's okay with the board.
I think it's a great idea, are you kidding?
But this has gotta stop. I mean, really have to figure.
well, I think also everyone needs to keep in mind that when big decisions are made in this room and at town meeting, people don't always agree. And there's a time and a place in which you express that that's appropriate. And there are other ways which are inappropriate. So let's have those discussions in a constructive way in appropriate times and places. I know I've been on boards that made decisions that were poorly received in general by the town. And people are critical of them, and a lot of times there's reason to it and there's something to learn from it. But you hope that they come to meetings, send you an email, and don't confront your wife on the street or confront a neighboring town, the employees that are just trying to do their job, but that they bring it to the appropriate channels. So I don't think there's anything we're gonna say or gonna do that's gonna make everyone get on board one way or the other and say, oh, we all agree now. That's just not town meeting government. But it's, the disagreement needs to happen at the right times and places, and you brought up some egregiously bad examples of inappropriate behavior, but we can have a good discussion like this or something.
I'm not against a constructive discussion.
Yeah, I just don't
No
think,
issue.
I just say to Kat, say to you, say to everybody in the room that I don't think the answer is everyone agreeing. I think the answer is everyone
Having a civil
having a
discussion.
civil discussion, and they
Well,
could
it's ongoing. I
disagree.
mean, as part
They
of,
could disagree till the cows
Yeah,
come home.
yeah.
You know, when they wanted another police cruiser, I said, I was of the opinion we didn't need it. So we had that discussion, Scott Jensen was on the board, you were on the board, this is very simple. And then, we got the cruiser, and we have it now, but it is what it is. You don't go ahead and, I don't come to every select board meeting and say,
Can't
let's
believe we
get
got
rid
that
of
dang
cruiser, right? So, and having the courage to stand up and speak your mind on issues that are important to you, and you think you have an opinion on or questions about, and then also agreeing with the process after it's worked itself through to, this is where we're at, and
well, there's been enough, the discussions that I've been involved in all of this with the fire department is, well, the people out there that talk to me want conversation, want discussion, want to figure out what's going on. I think we're on the right track. I think that's
I think
what it
the
is.
hard part is figuring out an appropriate forum for people to have those, be able to voice those questions and get their answers and have the discussion in a productive way.
So I'm not
Because clearly, what I ran at the library this year, it seemed to be fine last year, but this year it didn't seem to.
So I'm not as worried about that right now, because
Okay.
I look at this as, I mean, I said this before, this is a timeline. And we're gonna have a discussion about the fire department going forward. And we'll do a lot of discussion here. People are available, they're online, they're here. And then we may move into another forum. But right now, we have to kind of figure out where we're at with the fire department.
I don't
And-
disagree.
People are very disappointed in the response from the fire department in terms of throwing the town under the bus. You're very disappointed with the town for what you're perceiving as throwing you under the bus. So we gotta figure that out. And I think the best forum, my feeling is the best forum is right here, right now.
Okay.
In the next couple of weeks or whatever, and talking about it and just getting out. I mean, we're all reasonable here. I think we'll keep some of the crazies out. That's all.
well, I think, I know one thing that's, I think has come up. There's been a lot of numbers run over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of schedules proposed over the last 2 years. I do think as much as possible, getting those things, both planned and actual, available is helpful. And you've done some of it.
I mean, I think all this stuff that, all the things I presented at the meetings are all on the website.
Yeah, But, and things have developed and things don't always go to plan, and here we are, deputy fire chief resigned, we're going out to hire a shift.
I'm not putting that up till we have,
Super.
well, we actually are.
The Monterey News, the town website, regular updates, and answering questions, because I know one thing that really frustrates people is when they come with a question and feel like they didn't get an answer. And sometimes it's just when you start a new program, the numbers aren't all there because you're learning, we all learned about Kelly Days. Who knew what a Kelly Day was 3 years ago? I didn't.
Me neither.
Some of the stuff's quite complicated and, or I think probably every single person in this room could say they've learned a little bit or a lot of it, or more than a lot about how all this stuff works. So even the presentation from a year and a half ago, this past spring, like, can be updated to some degree. So I've always thought of like a frequently asked questions page on the town website.
You said it last week,
Yeah,
and I still.
no
agree.
amount of
It's a good idea.
information availability is gonna make everyone agree either. We need to start from that starting.
And also, I
place.
should point out that no amount of information ability will actually result in everyone looking for it or reading it and get told about it. Given a number of conversations I've had in the last couple of weeks. Oh, that's up there? I didn't even know you had those meetings. I never heard about them. Like, I didn't see your articles in the Monterey News. Like, you can put it out there, but there's no guarantee everyone will see it, so.
But I think we can come up with a structure that will do the town well in terms of getting information to the town and developing a partnership that works. It's positive rather than negative. We gotta get over this hump and we gotta figure this out.
Agreed.
The only way to do it is by what we're doing right now. So,
And one of the problems, that's not widespread, it's relatively localized, people taking the data that we put out there and then using it against the fire department. And let's stick to the facts here.
Mhm.
And,
Can you give me a example?
not right off the top of my
Okay,
head,
okay.
but I was gonna try to get you one for
Yeah,
tonight,
okay.
but ran out of time.
Maybe for tomorrow.
But yeah, we can discuss it more tomorrow. Yes, I would love if this BS would go away and we could work together and create a team. And part of the problem was the vision was that this problem isn't going away for 10, 15 years. So how are we gonna stay positive to complete this program with, and keep your mental
Mhm.
wits about you?
Mhm.
As it is, we're on edge. With the calls we run, we're on edge with getting poked all the time by the residents and all, just a select bunch. And it's a touch and go situation for us all, so.
I think there also has to be a willingness in the fire department to also begin to move towards reconciliation. I mean, it's like we have to figure this out in terms of that we both want this to work, so let's figure out how to make it work. And part of that is just accepting the fact that I think it is a very small group that's totally negative. But I do think there's a much larger group. I know there's a much larger group that is concerned about the cost, that's concerned about the direction and all of that. And all of that has to be discussed and kind of figured out. And that's what I see happening.
It's important to remember that sometimes the people that are the squeakiest wheels are just squeaky wheels.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily, I mean, sometimes they're representative of a larger group, but sometimes
They hurt.
they aren't.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel that way when you're being brutally assaulted, but.
Yes. And there's some names out there that they're generally pretty nice people.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't ask questions, they won't talk to me about it, they won't. And I can't answer a question that isn't brought to my attention, and it's, so.
Line of people outside your door tomorrow.
Fine with me, let's have a good discussion.
Alright, so I think Ken's gonna meet with Sean and we're gonna keep at select board meetings talking.
So if you could put on your schedule for the next month, 2 more select board meetings at least.
That is my plan. The week of the 20th, whatever that is, I won't be here.
Of August.
Of August, yes.
We've already passed that week.
It's okay, I mean, we can work around anything.
So I guess, what's that plan for scheduling for hiring people?
Our next meeting is in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So I would expect,
I
by then you would have information for us that you have either identified people or that you're up the creek with other problems.
No, I expect by 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to
Yeah, people.
have 3 people picked
Right.
out, yes. Unless something really happens. Yeah, I don't know if it'd be an option to meet quick the following week, this next week or not, but.
I would.
2 of us will be here,
In terms of,
but I think you're away.
No, I can.
you know, in terms of, you know, I think we can find time to come together and approve or whatever. Yeah,
Doesn't have to be a night.
As far as the shift supervisor, are we going to go back out for that? Or select from the existing pool? Or a combination of the two?
How about giving me the week? Put it on if we're gonna do an agenda next week.
Mhm.
Come in with an update, whether I suggest we go out or try to keep it within the applicant pool that we have. Just give me my time for research. I'd rather
that's good.
not jump to a conclusion without having all the facts here. And I think an extra week is not going to change things that much, so.
Changing the
And then
structure,
we will need to find like a salary range,
yeah, I was just gonna say.
because if they're not gonna, and I understand why they shouldn't do deputy chief, just to start out from, coming from the outside,
Yeah.
but if they're not going to do that, they're not gonna make that pay to begin with.
Yep.
And then if they, when and if a promotion is appropriate, they'll make more like a deputy chief, I think, right?
It seems perfectly reasonable.
It would probably be,
You don't get the pay without the
there's gonna be a
responsibility.
shift supervisor, the firefighter EMT pay, the shift supervisor pay, fire chief pay, and assistant fire chief pay, something.
Yeah, I mean, different levels you have different levels of responsibility and it comes with different levels of money.
Yep.
And
I have
I did send you
Positive
guys
feeling about this one, if they decide to
Mhm.
accept the challenge. So, yeah, I think we have the one shift commander or supervisor, maybe in the future. Start with that number and see where we end up, what feels right for that position. I will start thinking about that. I didn't have time today to start putting thoughts to that, but.
it's been, when you were telling me about this person earlier today, I had to respect someone because just having seen heads of school that got brought in or deans that got brought in, very different, and how they integrated compared to somebody who came in, like, worked their way up at Simon's Rock especially.
Totally different.
Which, and almost all the ones that were brought in from outside were pretty disastrous. Because they really, I mean, it's not quite the same because Simon's Rock's mission was very different from a lot of other colleges, even small colleges. But one head of school had been head of a prep school. That wasn't a good fit. Another one was like from a regular kind of university and it was a very different bad fit. So I respect someone that says, I don't think I should have that responsibility until I've seen how your house works. I don't wanna bring my view of how things should work and impose it on your house. I need to see if I think the way I do things will work in your house, and I have to respect that. It's a, it's
I-
from having worked in more than one house and had it work or not work, and I respect
It's a
it.
clever interviewing technique.
But it's also a thoughtful way,
Absolutely.
because
No,
usually
I
people
don't-
who have those kinds of responsibilities are like, it's my way or the highway, you know.
Mhm.
Well, do we wanna look at the fire chief job description?
Sure, I did send them to you.
No, I didn't see.
Have some copies, these ones here.
Yeah. Are they the B ones?
Well, let's-
Shift supervisor.
Why don't we do that the next time? I don't,
Okay.
why do we need, we don't need to do that now.
So if we,
You
I
want?
didn't look at it.
Okay. I'll pass it
Okay.
out here.
That's what you just said.
so if I make 3 suggestions for firefighters, EMTs, do you want them here for that meeting?
The people?
The people.
It's nice when they come, but really not necessary
No, I
unless.
think we'll re-interview them, try to figure it out. Probably won't accept them all, but we'll accept some of them.
It really, you know, I don't know where they're coming from or what they're, we don't even know when the meeting will be, it will probably be next Tuesday at 6, but I wouldn't make them go out of their way. Couple people we've hired recently, Dan Hamill, I think Alan, showed up, and that's nice, but it's not a requirement.
So I look at it a little different. Given the situation we're in with the fire department and the town and the negativity going on, I think it would be a positive if actually the individuals came before us and we talked and we just, welcome them and that. I mean, I think there's a missing link here. And that, we're not a separate entity, we're all together on this, and let's move forward as one rather than separate.
It might give some memory when you have.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll see us not as enemies, but working with them.
Sure.
Okay. So,
I know it's a pain for them, but.
It's a good paying job, so.
no. So in next week, next Tuesday, is that we're gonna agree to?
I'm okay with, I'm okay with whatever time it's Tuesday, so whatever works.
And the only thing we have to do is figure out whether that's gonna be a regular select board meeting or just a fire department one that we're just gonna approve the appointments.
Yeah, because then they're gonna give their employers 2 or 3 weeks notice, and
Yeah.
so
You get it.
it'll be the end of August by the time they're
All right,
coming on.
so we wanna do it as quickly as possible.
Well. If they're not gonna start till the end of August.
But the problem is, he's saying it's because of lead time, they have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
give notice. So if we put it off another week, then they're not hired, then
It's
their
another week.
start date pushes.
Well, we've done it different ways, cause sometimes Roger kind of works it out with people before we formally hire them.
We've done that.
So, alright, let's do next Tuesday.
I mean, we're trying to set a good precedent here. I think maybe we should meet the first.
Do you just wanna make it like just an appointment, the one agenda item is appointing?
Right, well, I think we'll have probably discuss that at the end of the meeting, but right now, I would suggest that it's to a point for the fire
In
department.
which case, let's just call it at 6 that
Yeah,
night, so that he knows what to tell him to be.
How do we feel about 5?
I'm okay with 5.
Five it is.
Keep it short and sweet.
Alright. Meeting every other week is in there.
I'm sorry.
What time?
No, it's not your fault, it's just.
And we say, every time we say, oh, we'll have it done, meeting, but don't. It's not.
I know. It's like maybe they can
So
only
they
stay off.
Maybe you can help us with that.
Yes, it's almost last week.
What time tomorrow? You're interviewing tomorrow?
Yes, I'll text you,
Okay,
cause I forget exactly what that
That's fine.
window is.
okay,
Actually, I think we're done at 1, 8 to 1-ish,
okay. That's good.
so in the afternoon.
Supposed to be raining all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm not working out
Okay.
Friday.
Thank you, Sean.
That it?
Yes.
That's it for us. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, appreciate it.
I see you brought your support group, I see.
Did I?
Maybe the alarm not going off tonight.
All right, thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Just in case, just in case.
You didn't even know she was there.
Lombardo Park.
I wasn't expecting to be back in town to have a meeting, so I did communicate with Ken and yourself in regards to my feelings with the contract review of Berkshire Design by our town council, Donna. Let me just summarize quickly for the sake of brevity. I met on site at Lombardo with a representative from Berkshire Design a few weeks ago, Jeff Squire. He promptly returned a proposal for site development, permitting, matrix, and scope of work. And the Lombardo committee unanimously approved that. I think he brought that back to the select board. After that, Berkshire Design sent to me and everybody, including the select board, their legal document. And I said, well, let's run this, or it was suggested appropriately that Donna take a look at that. And Donna took a look at that and edited it, but my feeling is, I don't have a degree in contract law. I'm not just gonna go over her edits. I think it's appropriate, even though it's not a big ticket commitment, it's less than $10,000, that she communicate with the legal department and, go through design, work out an agreeable term, and then we proceed.
That works.
Okay?
I mean,
That's kind of where we are right now.
Well, it wasn't presented to me that way. It was presented to me that I would look at her edits and then go ahead and approve it. I'm not gonna.
well, the select board will sign it.
Okay,
The select board will sign it. So you,
okay,
Yeah.
well, can you communicate to Donna that she needs to
I-
talk to Berkshire Design?
After you came in the other day,
Yeah.
I sent it to Donna, spoke with Donna and and actually, today, I sent the contract, the agreement back to, Berkshire Design.
Great.
And said, here's it is. I told them that I changed that it was the town of Monterey, not Tom Mency, and that in our tradition, what we normally do is, the select board or a member, typically the chair, signs it. And so I hadn't heard back from him, Jeff Squire. I sent it to him. So,
Okay. Okay,
and I told him that if he gets it to me by 5:50 today, I would bring it, but it wouldn't be until the next select board.
Yep.
So, okay, that's where we are.
and I guess you saw per your recommendation and your information from our insurance agency, the property is covered and their risk development person said, well, you gotta protect this, that, and the other thing. And I thought that the signs that I put up today kind of covered all the bases. And we have a new lock. We have a new lock on the property.
is it keyed or
I'm
common?
just showing them a.
Combination, I gave it to Scott Amstead and to Betsy Andrus, and I'll pass it on
That's
to
a lot,
Roger.
all right.
That's a lot.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, you're welcome.
Good job.
Have a good rest of the meeting.
You as well, oh, well, have a good rest of the evening. How about that?
What's next?
Letter of support for MassDOT Community Culvert Grant. This is, we're redoing this one. We've done it earlier this year and it's been, the grant itself had been denied, but they said to resubmit it. So this is a letter of support from the select board to move forward with the culvert program. So, the culvert grant
I
program.
think we're losing Justin. Justin's fading on us. He really is.
But once I heard there was gonna be a select board meeting.
Here, would you like a mess?
Someone once told me that we had too many meetings. We should have one a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, can you imagine?
We do,
That's the
we
same.
do, we do it.
I wanna know why, well,
But how are they
I
gonna?
say this every time, I wanna know why all the other towns around us only meet every other week with no problems. They never.
Well, I don't know if that's, historically it was once a week. Very
Historically,
historically, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been once a week, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the other towns around us have always met every other week. They meet
Always,
twice a month.
or once a month, how,
I don't-
No one
I don't
meets
know
once a
anything wrong
month
with
on
it.
that,
No one-
unless your town administrator really becomes basically a town administrator.
Yeah.
And then you meet once a week.
Just to correct them.
That's just to go back to the Mass DOT culvert grant for the project. We have a couple of culverts to try and cover that.
Summer is like,
I know, we're supposed to do it at least every week. I think once we did it, last, we had one meeting, one month where we had like a 3-week.
yeah, you know what it was?
No, it was
So my baby was born.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. It should be coming up soon then.
Right, right, I seem to recall a rather massive meeting at the end of that too.
So and this goes along with it. This is the grant request information form for Dennis, which there's a culvert grant, the 604B planning grant, and several other ones in there.
Plus art tennis that you just like
Just those
pumped
two.
out.
Just those two, yeah.
I know, but it's just one after another.
And what is the 604B grant again? Remind me.
Yeah, that's, 604B is a section of the Clean Water Act, like 319. And the 604B is basically a planning grant where you come up with preliminary design and a plan. Then, if that gets approved and accepted for an award, you do the work. And then that's the key in the door to go to the 319.
Right.
Because the 319 will say, well, have you done this, which we should have done at the 604B level. So
And that's the same scenario we used for Hoopie.
that's right, that's right.
For that culvert, the drainage project.
So, could we summarize the status of the culvert grants in a few sentences?
For what? Like,
For this particular culvert?
that culvert.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like,
this
you wanna know
culvert
what's
or
going
the?
on with this culvert?
So we're foregoing the MVP program for that?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're switching to DOT?
Yes, to finalize.
And this particular would get us to 100% design and permit,
That's right.
and then the very next step would be construction. And this will get us an updated construction cost,
Yes.
if we get it.
Probable, they call it a probable cost.
Yeah.
That wasn't for this one.
That's interesting.
This was for the.
The other one, I just want to take a step back, because
Sorry, I got
I think
confused.
this does get confusing, and MVP 2.0, we're in the middle of getting off the ground.
So basically three things happening,
Yeah.
relatively in the same time. I did want to mention.
Caller 2, you probably can't see what caller number you are if you're calling in on the phone, but there's quite a bit of background noise. If you don't mind muting yourself if you're not speaking, please.
It's a telephone.
Sorry. Dennis.
I was just gonna say that, to update the culvert grant, it's called the Community Culvert Grant for the DOT. MVP has provided a letter of support as well. So having that, in the quiver, I think hopefully it'll help, we'll see. It's a very competitive, program, so.
Everybody's culverts are, because everyone's culverts are in trouble.
Yes, yes, and the first time around, there were something like 12 or 15 in Monterey, in Berkshire County.
Yeah, we have some of them. We have a bunch need to be addressed over the next few years.
But I think what I'm saying is, I'm not surprised it's competitive,
Yeah.
because everybody has
the
to
same
in that
problem.
situation. Don't even start on bridges. Fortunately, we have relatively few.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Next.
Police donations.
The two donations to the police department, one for $50 from Kevin West, and the second for $50, and the second one from Gould Farm for $100.
Okay, I'll move that we accept the donations to the police department. We'll call a vote.
Yes.
Yes, that's very unanimous.
Thank you, Kevin West and Cool Farm.
For our fire engines.
The police department,
Not gonna go.
that's what it said.
It doesn't really, we don't have a great way to accept
No, we
donations.
I was just being a little snarky.
So we're hopefully signing a letter to the former deputy fire chief, but maybe not the letter that you all were expecting, because Ken, I forwarded the letter that you drafted to Donna and just said, can you look this over and make sure it's all kosher? And she said, that isn't a letter I would send from the board. So
Why does that not surprise me?
that's not what I was expecting to hear, honestly, but I said, is that because they just needed a few tweaks, and she just said, it's not really a letter from the board to an employee that's resigning. If the board wanted to make a statement to the town with some of the same content.
That's what I saw it as, because I saw that letter going out, not just to Chris, but to the Monterey News, in terms of
Yeah.
our response to what he was saying to us.
I think she thought it was not the right. So I was surprised because usually lawyers don't comment on like tone and audience, but for whatever reason, I CC'd Roger on the email, and I just said, can you look this over for any red flags? And she just said,
She felt it came across more as like a personal letter from one person to another as opposed to the board. I think she may have felt that the letter was specifically directed at him as opposed to a community letter. So she felt it was more, it wasn't necessarily a letter that the board should send to him. It felt more personal. I think that's what I got from it.
yeah, at the same time, I mean, we don't have to follow town council's advice. She didn't say
She didn't say don't
it
do
was
it.
gonna be incredibly problematic, but that was her sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what, I just think it's important that we respond to to that last paragraph in his letter.
Well,
I think we have to do that in some way.
my take on it, I think we just have different approaches. And I'm not trying to use town council's advice out of left field to justify my general approach toward it, which happened to kind of align. Coincidentally.
After my talk with her.
No, seriously,
Knowing Donna, that
No,
would not be the
seriously, I didn't-
case. She doesn't.
I didn't talk to her about it, I talked, because we had the two different letters, Roger and Donna and I were working on one letter. And then at one point I was gonna combine them, and I figured, let's keep them separate, and then I
More
forwarded
money and that.
to her without talking to her, just said, let me know if there's any red flags. And she said, I don't really feel like this letter from the board. So when I followed up and said, cause she suggested one change, and I said, with the change, could it be? And she said, I don't really feel. Now that said, my approach is, he says, or the letter says some pretty scathing things about the board and about townspeople in general. Things that I don't believe to be true. Is the board imperfect and have its flaws and make mistakes? Absolutely. In relation to this situation, absolutely. Do townspeople sometimes say things or do things that they shouldn't do? Of course. However, I think it's still a good community. I think it's a good board. I think it's a good town hall. And I don't think it's fair to cast aspersions broadly and say all the things that are said in that letter without going into detail. But do they deserve a defense? I wouldn't personally.
What do you mean that is?
Do they deserve us going and defending ourselves in that
I
town and
see,
saying,
right.
no, those things aren't true? I mean, people who live in the town know the community that we are. And, I just don't, that's just my personal way to approach the situation, is that people know the community because they live in it and they're part of it. And,
So I would say, that's called putting your head in the sand. So I think, I really disagree with that, because I think that there's when you talk to people in general about, or someone comes up to you and asks, what's going on with the fire department? I've heard all this. No, people don't understand why this is going on, and why would they say that? What's the story? The people are really confused about this, and that was part of the group that came last week, and it's, people really wanna get to the bottom of it and try to figure out why the fire department thinks we're so bad, both us and also the town in general. It wasn't going like one or two people, it was like the town. And, I think there's a real general attitudinal problem that exists between us and the fire department. And somehow we have to figure that out. And if we don't figure it out, it's gonna get worse rather than better. And we, so I think.
but do you think that this is a step in the right direction of smoothing relations?
Absolutely, because I think it puts the fire department and the town on notice that we, the select board, feel strongly that this town has been supportive of the fire department for 30, 50 years. And they've always gotten everything they want. So there's no reason to throw us under the bus. This was an issue that developed out of one person at the fire department, and it blew up. And it wasn't 6 months ago, it was this one situation. And I think we should respond to it, not singling out the person, but the responses to that letter of resignation and what it said about the town, how it reflected on the town. I took it personally. I thought it was pretty outrageous.
I see your point, I'm trying to figure out, like, I thought there was a lot that was good in your letter that you wrote, I'm trying to.
Doesn't have to be my letter, I mean.
No, I know,
you know,
I agree, I'm trying to figure out how to take the sort of essence of what I think is the important part of the response to make it something that town council would be like, that's a reasonable
So
thing
my
to send to the community.
My feeling on town council is that, thank you for your help, but,
Right.
you know.
And we can do that, but I think also, right, there's constructive criticism, we've had employees over the years, anyone who has employees, sometimes say, this needs to be tweaked within the organization, this is it failing within the organization, and we can address it or we can't. And hopefully we do address legitimate issues. And sometimes people say, just, you're crooks and you're liars and this community is fake, and I don't believe that. But I also don't wanna give the credit to it by even responding.
You don't wanna.
It's just not true.
To it.
It's just not true. We're not perfect, but, and the town's not perfect, but it's good.
So, but so if you look at the fire department,
But it's that particular letter is from one former employee.
I'm
It is
gonna-
not from the fire
I
department.
it is
said
from the
much
fire
of
department,
this.
though, because that's the attitude within the fire department. So
Well,
no,
it's
the letter is from Chris, one employee, yes. But the attitude that letter expressed, as we saw in the post from the Monterey, the fire department after that, online, they harbor the same feelings. Sean will tell you that. He feels that, you know, not everybody, but he has that attitude towards, and that is throughout the fire department. It's not, you know, so.
I don't know that for a fact. I don't know that you know that for a fact.
I think there's two
But-
parts to this, though. One is that I think that, if our goal is to try to foster better communication on both sides of whatever, or all sides of this, and if our goal is to try to, I think it's important to understand what's really, because it is true that financially, we have repeatedly supported the fire company, right? Like,
Department.
fire department,
And
excuse
company.
me, thank you, and company, but department for sure, like,
And
there were a
definitely
lot of
company,
people at the fire company dinner, right? So, and yet there's that feeling, and the question is that's a disjunction. And it, whether or not it's important to know where it's coming from, only because you can't address it if it's being, you know, it's like the couple, this is a stupid example, but everybody knows this one, right? The couple ends up fighting because one of them squeezed the toothpaste tube the wrong way.
Well,
Are
also,
they fighting over the toothpaste tube? They are not.
some of this is not, as veiled as we're pretending. There was a lot of discussion at town meeting.
Mhm.
I think contained within it some constructive criticism. And there was a very close vote.
Yep.
So it's not exactly like this is,
Full support.
it's not a mystery to me what the disagreement's about in a lot of ways. Cause a lot of it's been talked about in the public square, at town meeting, on the Google group. It's not really a mystery,
So my point is.
but this to me seems like one
Well, my-
former employee who
But it's,
is saying things that
But
are.
I
It was
still
a
think
catalyst.
addressing some of what was said in that
Mhm.
is important for, like, the residents to see
To
that
hear
we are,
that.
hear that response, since it was put out in the public. And also, so for them to hear it and for the fire company to hear it, to say like, well, we do support you. And it's important for the community to have these discussions. And it's also important for people, I think it's worth saying in there also, people have to find a way to communicate their questions, but also their disagreements in a way that isn't standing in rounds screaming at firefighters while they're trying to help somebody, right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
not okay,
No.
right?
And I did speak to that particular person involved in that particular incident, and they
Right.
know that it's inappropriate.
Right,
And so I don't think there's any question about that, it just can't happen.
Right.
But I think everyone knows that's
an
not,
individual, I understand what you're saying, but then again, somebody did it again by yelling at a firefighter's wife when she's delivering their dinner from the fire company, like. So I'd like to say it's just a one-off, but apparently it's not really a one-off, and maybe they don't all do it in the same way, but I just feel like he has a point in saying that it's possible that addressing this directly from the board. But it might need to be tweaked so that it's not just
Absolutely.
at Chris, that it's like us talking about this.
I wrote
I
a
agree.
draft.
Yeah,
I know.
I think I agree with Susan, I think honestly, I would like to take a fresh look at it from that perspective of
Absolutely.
something, of a public statement on the topic in general.
Mhm.
So, you know, and one of the things I think that should be done too is a commitment. Here's 3 things, here's 5 things that we're committed to. Regular meetings with the fire chief or something. Answering questions fully and accessibly.
Sure, we can
You know what I
lay out-
mean?
we can lay out a
That things
plan
that
going
actually
forward.
improve the environment, instead of just saying, you know, chastising one letter and saying, let's have a positive tone, but what concrete steps will be taken?
I have no problem with that.
I am curious to hear from John Salou.
I think
Thank you.
that's,
That was
I'm thinking, that's about all I can do. I just had a little bit of an interesting conversation with Sean. Because I think, as I mentioned this, Sean, since I've been in town, there's always been this slow smoldering burn between the fire department and the fire company. Like we're always giving them what they want, or the fire company might feel they're not getting what they need. There's just, this is back and forth. And one of the major themes of our last annual town meeting, people were just saying transparency, we need more transparency, we need more transparency. I'm not quite sure well, I kind of know what that means, but what does that really mean?
What do they actually want?
Exactly.
We're trying to figure that out too.
Yeah, and so I actually just said to Sean, I said, Sean, I think you agree with that. I think there's something going on here between the fire department and the fire company. And the town only, it's not the whole town, I think 99% of the town supports the fire company. But there are questions about what is that relationship? We hire people, the fire department is paying the salary of people who are living in a building that the town doesn't even own. Sets up a whole set of dynamics. But I just said to Sean, I would like to have a conversation with you. I'd like to maybe have a conversation with, with Ken and you tomorrow or whatever, or with Peter, just not a public thing right at the moment, but everyone has to just say what it is, no matter how difficult it is. What doesn't work, Sean? What is it that is the town doing to throw you under the bus? I want to see the list.
Yes, yeah.
Because otherwise, none of us
Most
know
of us
what
kind
to
of
do.
yeah.
No one can know what they're gonna do unless someone has the guts to say what it is that's bothering me. And he gets it. I don't know if he can do that. I don't know if I could do that if I was in his situation. I said to him, I don't understand the relationship you have with the town in the select board. I don't understand how you even can put that together, but somehow cooperation has to start seeping out of this building into the community to soften the edges. Because until that happens, real progress, I don't think, can be made. And I'm not quite sure how you do that. As I mentioned to Sean, the first prerequisite is to agree to disagree and not burn the house down while you're doing that. To say, okay, I hear you. I'm coming at it from a different angle. What are we gonna do here? It takes time, but I think if you just keep massaging that whole thing, eventually, it won't totally go away, but there'll be a better understanding. And that understanding will be felt by the community. And maybe some of the people who are just can't help themselves throwing daggers and stuff like that, at least they can maybe calm it down a little bit. I thought I just spent a great 10 minutes with Sean out there, and I said, oh, okay, I get it. I mean, he said, I can't say everything I want to say in this room with all of us here. You can't do that.
And honestly, I think that there have been a number of people that have taken the time to talk to Sean.
Yeah.
Who express something like you just said.
Yeah.
Because he's more approachable than people think he is. I don't know why there are people out there that
He's a
just aren't
human
willing to
being,
talk
he's
to him.
trying to do his job, and he has, not only is it incredibly physical for him in the fire department, but it's emotionally killing them. Even if the town people weren't stabbing them in the back. It's and people just have to know what kind of stress that is. And the conversation just has to start somehow oozing out of the cracks to loosen the whole thing up. And it's gonna, I don't know, talking to Sean, he's great at hiding what it is he really feels. I think he's somebody that wants to see this change. He said, it probably all started with my grandfather. And he's right.
Right.
He's absolutely
The thing
correct.
is that it was his grandfather, and it's not Sean.
Yeah,
And people think that Sean is his grandfather,
so there you go.
and that's,
So
That's an
that's
issue.
part of Sean's job as the fire chief,
Yeah.
to separate himself from his grandfather, but it's gonna take all of us, The next time I hear Roger starting to badmouth a fire company, I'm gonna tell him, why don't you become a firefighter?
not this Roger, right? This
Not that-
Roger?
not that Roger. So you're a good Roger.
Peter,
I was there when they formed the Monterey Fire Company. I was a firefighter under Sean's grandfather when we were all volunteers. And the story that I remember that led to the establishment of the Monterey Fire Company is that there was a house fire prior where everything went wrong. It was a bungled operation, and it left a very bad taste with the firefighters. I don't know the actual sequence, but sometime after that, or maybe before that, I don't actually know, they presented some kind of proposal, the fire department, firefighters presented some kind of proposal for a new firehouse. And I don't know the process, but it was shot down. And that's how the Monterey Fire Company came about. So, well, heck with them, we'll build the firehouse. And we all signed a mortgage to buy that property. And then with a whole lot of volunteer labor, built the firehouse that's there today. I think the volunteerism was unique to that period. I think that the, hardworking farmer select board official temperament was different. Thrift was like a religion for those guys. I'm thinking of Shel Fenn and Dick Tryon. So, thrift was butting heads with firefighters wanting to do a good job and not screw up. That's how that came about. I did experience in that period of time, the unique trust that builds when you go into a burning building, depending on other people. When you're hearing the bell go off on your Scott Air Pack and you want to be sure you're going to be able to get out, and the stairs that you're crawling up with an 1.5 inch hose don't collapse under you. And I think that that's a unique bond that takes place within a group like that. And I think the vast social changes that have taken place in the last 45 years have evolved now into this semi-professional, maybe regional emergency services response entity is housed in a building up on the top of the hill. And that sense of trust and camaraderie and that awareness that you're doing something very dangerous and special that other people don't know what that feels like, I think that's become the seed for the bitterness that was palpable in the deputy chief's resignation letter. And I think Ken is probably right that that's a bitterness that isn't unique to Chris. I think it's something that Sean recognizes, and he recognizes how the community of firefighters that are housed in the firehouse now can be a petri dish for that kind of bitterness. And I think my sense of Sean is that he would like to diffuse that as much as anybody, because I also think that insular pride that's a little bit overweening will be an obstacle to the Monterey firefighters becoming the people that they want to be, a seed of a regional emergency services program. Because other fire companies, departments, they're not going to want to feel that from them. I think that pride that has been peculiar to the Monterey firefighters for decades could be an obstacle. And I don't think Sean, any more than anybody else, wants to foster obstacles to creating the kind of regional service that South Berkshire Hill towns need now. The volunteerism that I experienced in the 80s, it's out the window. Doesn't happen anymore. So that's kind of what I would like to bring to the discussion. And I would be, I'm happy to talk to Sean. I think Sean's happy to talk to me. I told Sean tonight that I would be even happier to have some of the firefighters who maybe feel a little of that bitterness, talk to me, tell me what you think, tell me why. Tell me why it looks to me like full support from the town and you don't feel that. That's my 2 cents.
It'd be very useful to see if you could get anyone to vote, to verbalize what that disjunction, where they feel like the feeling's coming from.
I may be wrong.
No.
That's my own,
Yeah, no, but I think it would be
Judgment.
useful. My own frustration is, like, I actually asked my daughter, who's a therapist, right? I'm like, I'm trained as a teacher. I spent years of my life explaining the same questions over and over and over as a profession, right? Like, perfectly calm, perfectly happy, sometimes to the same kid because they're really struggling and I have to keep finding a different way to explain it. Why is having to answer the same questions over and over about the fire department when I feel like I just explained it so frustrating to me? Because at this point, I'm like, not that question again. And she said, possibly because a lot of times you feel like the person asking the question doesn't actually want the answer to the question they asked. They've already made up their mind. And some people clearly are asking for the first time. They usually don't frustrate me, but some of the people are asking the question because they're trying to get me to make a mistake or say something that they can then argue with, rather than actually wanting the information. And I can't say that that's true, but I thought it was an interesting observation because to some degree, it is true. It's frustrating to spend a lot of time, right, learning about something, explaining it to people, figuring out good ways to explain it, putting that out in writing, putting that out in slides, putting that out verbally. And yet people keep repeatedly asking the same question, sometimes in the same audience, as though they didn't hear the previous 6 people that asked literally the identical question. And that if I'm experiencing that, I have to guess that that's not unique to me.
Well, I think one of the difficulties too is, Susan, is that no amount of information can give us the right answer.
Right.
And it's not unique to the fire department. There may be some things that are unique to the fire department and fire company, but we have multiple departments in town that deal with things where lives are very much at risk. The highway department, if they plow and salt the roads well, there are fewer car crashes and car crashes can be fatal. The police department, we all know how they interact with life and death situations. And I think if you could put a price on a life, you could have an actuarial, like Steve Pullen, or an actuarial tell us how much money to spend on the highway department, on the fire department, on the police department to maximize our efficiencies and resources. You can't put a price on a life. That also doesn't mean spending should be endless.
Right.
It is basically, at the end of the day, it is a judgment call of this board, the department heads, this board, and then town meeting to say, we think that this is an appropriate amount of money to put towards this, this department. And lives are at risk in every case. And there are the Shell Fens or the Dick Tryons of the world that are probably going to want to spend less money, and they're not wrong necessarily. They have every right. So we could talk about information and data, and that's valuable and important, but at the end of the day, there is a judgment call of what your understanding of how this money is going to potentially have a positive impact and how much money you're willing to part with in order to potentially improve or save lives on those departments. And you could come in at either end of the spectrum. Steve Snyder used to say, I don't believe in lifeguards or something to that effect, which I got on board with a lot more before I had a 1-year-old. But I'm sure there's people with 1-year-olds that don't believe in lifeguards, and there's nothing wrong with that per se. Some of this, to me, comes down to, you're gonna have the Dick Tryons or Shell Feds, and you're going to have the people that are willing to put more money towards it, and everyone has a different relationship with their wallet and their bank account, and you're not gonna change that.
I
So-
don't wanna change that. What I'd like to change is people being honest about their reasons. I totally get people saying, I see the need for this, I can't afford it. I understand that response. What I don't understand is, well, it isn't that I can't afford it, it's that there just aren't enough calls. Well, I haven't had a fire, so obviously it's not a problem. Like, the people who are trying to use the numbers to argue for it, that isn't really a valid argument. If they would be honest and say, I just can't afford this, I get that. That's a real concern, and at least it's honest, because at the end of the day, that's really what they're worried about, and they're right to be worried.
Well, two things. A lot of people are embarrassed to say they are struggling with money, so that's not always gonna come to the forefront, and maybe that's part of the reason, like John's saying, it seems like all this stuff is simmering under the surface. But I think that's a factor for a lot of people, and also something that people are very uncomfortable talking about. But it comes up all the time at this board and at town meeting, how much money are you willing to put towards X? And then the second thing is, people could say X, Y, or Z for their reasons, and there aren't always gonna be good reasons, but I think that's never a reason to stymie transparency. We record the meetings and post them to YouTube. It has negative consequences a lot, all the time. I say things I wish I didn't say, I wish weren't on YouTube. And the only thing worse than them being recorded kind of for perpetuity is them not being recorded. Because when I got on the board, there were these rumors, people would say, oh, what happened at the select board meeting? Well, I heard so-and-so said X. And then citizens were taking it into their own hands to record the meeting. So transparency is like a terrible thing if you work for government and you're a public official. But the only thing worse than transparency is not having it. And so as much as it's annoying for people to then, like Sean said, take your own numbers and quote unquote use them against you, the only thing worse is people saying the numbers aren't out. We're not getting the numbers. We're not getting the right numbers.
But what's frustrating is when they're getting the numbers, but they just, no matter what numbers you give them, they always want other numbers, more numbers. And believe me, I'm a data head, like I get that. But a lot of times it doesn't seem like it's actually, like, what numbers get, if I give them too many numbers, then that's too confusing. If I don't give them, and it's not a personal thing, but it's an observation, right? Because this literally happened at that last meeting. Well, you didn't give us this particular number, we don't care about that. Somebody actually said, I don't care about that number.
Well, I think it's a symptom, kind of a tangential symptom of the underlying issue. And people in government at town meeting always ask, are we spending too much money, and is it being spent well? Is it being spent fairly? And you're never gonna, those questions will never go away, because
You're never gonna
if you
please
pay
everybody.
people too much, they say you pay them too much. I remember we were paying a lawn mowing contractor, and the question was, are we paying them too little? So, no two people are ever gonna have exactly the same opinion on how much is the right amount, and I guess maybe I'm cynical, but a lot of it is gonna boil down to people are gonna disagree, and as long as we keep it civil.
It's hard to disagree with that.
See, I think that's one of the points that Sean has to also come to, is that we have to agree to be able to disagree. And I think if we can get to that point with Sean, I think we've come a long way with the fire department. I think that's one of the reasons for the letter, is that it says, this is it, we're done, we're done doing this crap. We're gonna move in a different direction, and the different direction is we're gonna be transparent, whatever that means. But we're also going to move as a partnership, that we're gonna be together on this, and we have to agree to disagree. We're not gonna agree to all everything you wanna do. You have to accept that. We have in the past always agreed what you wanted to do. Now we may not agree. But this is a work in progress, and if we don't agree this year, we'll agree next year. But
Well, not necessarily even, but like, it is nice, because sometimes we have to say no to departments.
yeah,
And a lot of times I hear, we say no to someone and people are displeased. We don't say no a lot, but, as a select board member, I feel like it's your responsibility to just kind of take it on the chin and maybe have a conversation with that person in the department, but a lot of times if I hear that, I just say, well, they wanted X and I didn't think it was appropriate use of town money and they disagree and that's that. But it is nicer, I think, when department heads and employees take the time to realize the position the board is in and the town meeting is in. And we're not saying no to be mean. Sometimes we're saying no because we have to make hard choices. So, and not everyone has the same ability to just hear negative feedback and let it be, but
All very true.
I don't know. Hopefully we're setting ourselves up for success.
I hope so. It would be good.
so in terms of the letter, you're gonna take a crack at the letter?
I'll look at it
I'm
too.
gonna redline it.
Get ready.
But it's gonna be addressed to the community.
It can be, yeah, it doesn't have to be just anything, I mean, just get the body of something here, and then we can figure out how we're gonna set it up. It's the body.
Well, but the audience matters.
Yeah.
So if we were addressing it to an employee or a department, is different than a public
That's fine,
statement.
that's fine, I don't have any problem with that.
We do have a letter, I don't know if anyone has any questions, but there was a discrepancy between the town's understanding of the accrued vacation.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's fine.
I think it's fine.
My only question was it a big difference? And Roger explained to me that it was a fairly large size difference, so we'll see what feedback we get. Okay, good.
The point being, we don't pay out sick person.
I'm gonna meet with Sean tomorrow at 1:30. So if anybody is interested in joining me, that would be fine.
In the firehouse,
I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, because he's on duty.
1:30.
1:30 at the firehouse.
I will be there. We can't have two of us there.
Town administrator updates?
A few things, they started the installation of the beaver deceiver at the dam. Beaver deceiver, yeah,
That's cool.
they put it in, yesterday, what's today, Tuesday, yesterday, and I think they're coming back, after all the rains and stuff to finalize it and clean some of the area out that's in there.
Do you know the lake's been several inches high for a while?
Yeah, we, opened up we actually are able to open it up a little bit and let some of the water out. It's been running pretty good for the past 24 hours or so. So, yeah.
I heard that there's been volunteers cleared the beaver debris.
I do not know.
Volunteerism isn't tech.
I that's news to me. So, I know
There
that,
with a straight face.
I know that it was plugged up.
It was
and-
quite extensive, it was a real plug.
Yeah, and somehow
Hard
little workers.
somehow it opened itself back up again and was able to,
Mother Nature's so good.
so Mother Nature,
Don't you
Mother
wish you
Nature,
could harness those beavers for some other?
Nature always finds a way, that's what I say.
Yeah, right, they could build housing, imagine. Would you like to live in a hut?
I heard it was a beaver gang from the other end of the lake that came down and were pissed at them for blocking.
We've always had beavers on the other end of the lake, but they,
We started a crack seal program on Sandusfield Road to finish the work on that. We're gonna fog seal it afterwards, and then the company's gonna come in and reline that section of the road. At the same time, they're gonna put in some, on the way down into town, they're gonna put in 25 mile per hour, we're gonna paint 25 mile per hour speed limit. 25
On the
mile per
road?
hour on the road. We'll see if that helps.
So, question about speed limits. I don't know if this was another thing that you were gonna address. On the signs coming into town.
Yep.
It says town speed limit 25.
Yep.
Thickly settled.
Mhm.
Is it vague?
No, it's specific.
It's
because-
only for thickly settled areas that it's
Yes,
25.
we haven't, yes, specifically, so we haven't, through the state, there was a grant program where you could actually order signs that said 25 miles per hour, and then there was a little rectangular piece underneath it that gave the Mass General Law, MGL
Mhm.
91, 17C. We ordered those, we haven't gotten those in yet, and those will be placed in the areas that are thickly settled.
Okay,
So that will happen, so it's a little confusing right now, well, but we got those signs, those big signs a few weeks back, and they're sagging, and they just put them up. Yeah.
cause when you drive in and let's say you're coming in 23 from Otis,
Mhm.
it says 25, but then immediately later you find out it's like 40.
Right, I understand, but it's only those places that are thickly settled.
Okay,
So I think they may be vague on purpose, those are provided by the state, that's the recommendation from the state.
yes, if you adopt what we did.
Yeah.
And
so-
we'll have billboards at the first part of each time coming into town
They
that
do.
explain,
Oh,
the definition of thickly settled.
No, at the next town meeting, we're going to be giving docents that will, we have the.
Yes.
So,
that's good.
I'm confused though, if this 25 and 40 mile an hour are quite close to each other, is it because the 40 mile an hour is the old speed limit?
no,
Or
it's 40
thickly
is
settled?
still. 25 says 25 townwide speed limit in thickly settled areas. But it says
Ah.
25 townwide speed limit unless otherwise posted.
And then 40 supersedes.
But really, okay, if you're on a road that doesn't have a speed regulation, like 23 Tyringham 57, and it's not thickly settled, it's really 40.
It's 40 miles an hour.
But how are you supposed to ascertain where the thickly settled sections
Well,
are?
then
Well,
we
that's
have a
you're
set,
gonna
we have a
find
set,
out.
That's what this is.
we have a set of signs that
Okay.
haven't been delivered yet.
I see,
we
and
ordered
those will be put up,
Those will be
Where-
put up there, I don't know if you recall, there was an image that had a map on it with all those areas that are.
right, I remember
So-
that, right.
And that's where the signs will go,
Okay.
at those locations.
But if we already have a speed regulation, they don't override.
No, they don't override. So for example, Tyringham Road coming past the beach is 30 miles an hour. People wanted that to be, and that actually, parts of that I think are considered thickly settled, but it doesn't, it doesn't override it. So it's the special speed regulation that determines what the speed is on the road, so.
Okay, I think it's confusing, I think other people are gonna find it confusing. At the same time, we can't write 4 paragraphs, but I'm just putting it on everyone's radar, because there's probably going to be questions. The signs went up recently, and is it already on the Google group?
Not yet, other things about speed.
Chris, but I think we should all be on the same page, because I think it's important, I mean, it's a small thing, but people wanna know, and now you know.
And I know that this next police breakfast, they're gonna be talking about the speed regulations and speed monitoring, and I had a good chat with Brian earlier today, and he's actually been out there and he's had his officers out there clocking people, and surprisingly enough, it's a lot fewer speeders than, I guess, he has the impression people think. He's also made the offer to people that they can come ride with him and hold the radar gun and experience the speeding, or like they're up for themselves, which I thought was.
I know the other day he was downtown, he was downtown in the morning because I passed him coming to work here. And he had been there for about an hour, maybe a little more, when he came into town hall. And in that hour, he gave a ticket to one person who was going more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. So it's one of those things where people perceive that people are speeding through downtown a lot, but in that hour and a half, during a heavy commute time, between 8 and 9, through from Otis through and all that, and he had one person that, was over that speed limit and had a ticket. It's says there's not a lot of speeders going through town.
Interestingly, I didn't realize that any ticket starts, the lowest ticket's $100. It's been so long since I got a ticket that I didn't even know that.
So I think, I had a great talk with Brian too, and I think, my feeling is the signs are fine, but they don't do anything. And the only way that we're gonna correct this is by actually cracking down on speeding, by tickets, and by giving people out. And once people start getting $100 tickets, all of a sudden Monterey becomes another egg one.
We did it, we've been there before. We've been there.
I think at the end of the day.
2010, 2015,
Yeah.
Monterey had the same reputation as
Yeah.
Egremont.
But then we gave it all up.
I think at the end of the
So
day,
you know that, anyone,
but I think at the end of the day, people will be surprised at how many tickets we get. I know that I think it was 24, they did 500 tickets. So, wow, that's a lot of tickets, right?
Those are warnings.
Citations, tickets, and
I think
warnings. It was a mixture.
I think it was, yeah, but I would argue that it was mostly warnings, and I think the change that Brian's gonna institute is that we're gonna get tickets. We're just gonna crack down, and that people are gonna be surprised when they get a ticket. Wait a minute, I live here, I'm on the committee that.
You know, it's not.
So I think I welcome that, although I know I'm gonna get caught. It's the cars today, everybody has these new cars that just.
Also, the only time you want to
You're driving along at 50 miles an hour, and it's like, it's a 25-mile zone, and you don't even know it.
So.
Or maybe that's my age.
Time is different right now, right?
Yeah.
We did get, one of our, highway, workers did give their notice, Don Peck, he's leaving August 7th. We are interviewing someone tomorrow for the position. It was someone who actually interviewed before, back last, October or something like that, so they're coming down. What's that?
Who are you interviewing?
Somebody from Pittsfield, one of the guys that came down from Pittsfield.
So
He's still interested.
I understand how difficult it is to find people to do. And I raised this with Alan, and I understand completely where he's at in this, but I'll just throw this out, that I, going back to what you said earlier about firemen coming from a distance. When winter comes, we're gonna be up the creek again, if all these guys that are working for us are coming from Pittsfield.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the answer is, but I think that just worries me, that here we go.
I know.
Getting into a situation that if we predicted, we're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, it was the same thing when we actually did the hiring last year. Everybody, I think everyone, maybe one person was from in town, but they most of them were out of town. We did have one person.
well, out of town, so with highways different than fire, but I do think you start approaching 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a long way.
That's a long ways,
In
and
the
it's
snowstorm.
coming in an inclement
It's-
weather conditions, so at the end of the day, it's really on them. To come in.
Yeah, right,
And
no, that's what
They
Alan
do
said.
usually have 45 minutes notice, but, there are certainly things like when there's a tree down, I got on the dispatch list, they still call
Do they really?
me. Yeah,
I thought we
from
got
when
you off
Jim
that.
left, he put me as the number one.
Remember, we got to be taken off of that though.
I still get a call once in a while, someone has an old list. But when there's a limb down somewhere, that stinks to drive down from Pittsfield for a limb. But if we have Pittsfield, Monterey, the Monterey person's gonna be stuck doing all
We're
that.
doing all the work.
Yeah, we have, someone else who we're working with to take the other position, so, who's local. So we're trying to get them in the department and have them show us that they have they're determined, we're asking this person to do steps. They're like, hey, if you're really interested in this position, to go do a couple of things here. If you're really interested, it shows us that you are interested in the position and moving forward, so.
Hoisting license.
Yeah, like hoisting license, the MassDOT, they got the MassDOT physical, the hoisting license, those sorts of things that we're trying to work with them to say like, okay, this is great, we see you're interested in the position, you wanna move forward with it. So I think in the near future, we'll probably be hiring that person as well.
The other thing is during the winter months, the fact that we have guys come in and doing plowing, and they're told to go home for 3 or 4 hours to come back. Well, if you live in Pittsfield, it really doesn't work, so. Once we get this straightened out with the fire department, I'm gonna talk to Sean about the possibility of letting highway guys sleep overnight in the fire department. I mean, it seems like a reasonable request, right?
At one point, were they talking about putting beds? No, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, that's a terrible idea.
They were talking about.
That's a terrible idea.
and stuff.
Think about all the garages and, even town sheds that have burned down in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they have like up in their,
There's the
like heating
traditional
area.
for
Yeah,
Don't do that,
in
don't
their,
do, we
in their
can't do
heating
that.
area, they have like chair recliners.
Wilkinson's burned down, like what, Vice and Tolland shed burned down?
Well, I think that's the option to
improperly-
doing that is we have a situation where we have beds available. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
I just,
Why are they even burning them, like improperly stored fuel or what?
I don't know, it could be a million things, but I think once you have that many vehicles,
Yeah.
hot engines,
2010.
and flammable liquids, more than flammable liquids, the types of liquids you would choose if you were gonna do it, be an arsonist.
Yeah, right.
Like, things happen.
The last thing I have is they did move forward with the notice of intent. It did get sent to the Mass DEP. We haven't heard back from it yet. But there was one interesting piece to it, and we have to hire a compliance monitor. So that's something that I'll be looking into prior to October 15th. We have to figure that out.
So,
And it's not like I can hire, you know,
The state has a list.
they have requirements as to specified by 310 CMR 10.61B. So it's not like I can hire, you know, the guy that does the young gentleman that watches the parking at the beach to monitor.
so are there firms that do that?
I think there are. You know, well, for example, like Emily Stockman is a person who probably is capable of it, is certified to do that sort of stuff. Whether
How often will they be down?
it's regularly.
Well, can they use the hobo link? When they come down?
Sometimes, yeah, it feels like that. They can use that sort of stuff. They have to keep a digital log of compliance. We make weekly reports to the commission.
Weekly reports to the commission?
Yep.
Only during drawdown and refill?
Drawdown and refill.
Okay, what about Hillary,
Well, somebody who knows how to do
since
this.
she's the lakeside?
I guess if she has all the minimum requirements, then.
Well, that's where I would start.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah, and I think in this day and age, with the technology we have,
Yeah.
as long as they're here from time to time, that person shouldn't necessarily need to be at the lake every day.
No, I don't think they have.
Or even once a week.
It's just that we have to do this.
Right.
So
Well, I
don't
would
think they
start,
have
why
to
don't
be
you
there.
start by asking Hillary if she can do it?
I will.
I know everyone's busy, but she's the lake scientist, so shouldn't she be in charge?
Well, it just may depend on whether the person doing the monitoring is allowed to be the same person that wrote the.
Oh.
The applicant and all other parties, subject to orders are comply with all orders and instructions of compliance monitor, including orders to cease all activity within jurisdictional resource.
Which may argue that it needs to be somebody else.
Thank you,
Yeah.
gentlemen, for coming.
Good night.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
I'll reach out to Hillary and I'll reach out to,
1:30.
I'll reach out to both of them, just to ask and see what their feelings are about this.
Bring the grandchild.
That's all I have.
Una's kid?
Hmm?
Did Una have a?
Yeah. Should've been it.
Well, and he's got the twins too, so it wasn't necessarily
Unanticipated business? Minutes?
minutes. I had shockingly no comments on either set of minutes.
Alright, let's
I
approve.
I had no comments either.
Well,
Well done.
on the big conversation last week, you were okay. It was really weird because the way that the agenda was written, kind of like the whole conversation, it was hard to sort of separate it out. But
It's
I-
really
I hope I
difficult,
did.
but I think you did a pretty.
No, I didn't have any problems in the cover.
Alright, I'll move that we approve the minutes of July
Oh, yeah.
7th and
Date
July
on the
14th.
agenda, yeah. Was wrong, it's not the 14th, it's
Oh,
the
it's
21st.
21st, sorry.
July-
July
July
7th
7th,
and
July
21st, we didn't
21st.
meet the 14th, right? I even had to go check the agendas to make sure I was
Oh,
correct.
That's all right, I was writing the 22nd for a long time.
I'll second,
We'll call a vote?
yes.
Yes, that carries. We'll meet again next week at 5 PM.
Sounds good.
Do you want to make it just about the hiring, the appointment, or do you wanna go back to the job description and look at that, or do you wanna wait until the following week to do that?
I think we should give him the 2 weeks for the job description. I think he was asking for that.
Yep.
And then we just do the hiring next week.
Yeah, I don't know that's specifically what he was asking about, but I
That's,
think, can we just do the hirings, cause as soon as we open up
Yeah,
the
they're
gates a
gonna
little bit,
flow.
everything flows in.
so just to clarify, what I think he meant was that what he's actually asking for the time for is what to do with the shift C.
Mhm.
Whether it's a deputy chief or a
Right.
shift supervisor or what that person's role would be. But there are actually 4 job descriptions. There's,
You found them.
no, we made them. I found the interim ones, he took that and wrote ones, and then I just put it in the same format as all the other ones that are posted. And it's probably, I think the ones I put out, maybe, I don't think they have enough things in the skills or requirements sections, but, you know,
Thank you.
cost effective. Anyway, there's fire chief, there's EMS supervisor, there's
Gotcha.
the shift C one, and then there's the firefighter EMT.
Sounds good.
So he wrote them, I just formatted them.
Meeting again in 2 weeks, and then August 25th, we have a poll here.
Oh, exciting. Used to love poll hearings.
It sounds like, you know,
I
it's.
got like very, I was like.
I had an email through, and you think you want the right time, they're up.
But not the 18th, is that the deal?
I'm not gonna say that, I can put my record saying that.
I'll leave it on then, so we know.
Just every, we just need every Tuesday, I guess.
Yeah,
on that.
I know, right?
No,
We did have a few,
no.
we did have a few that we skipped.
We did that one, yeah, we
Slow
can
down
do
in
it.
September.
No?
No, not this year.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
No, because of everything that was going on with my mother-in-law passed away and everything, so we decided, and the house used to be sold. There's like right around the same time,
Yeah,
just too much. So we're hoping to do something in September, maybe go away for a little while, go do that.
We keep talking about going away. We are.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
We should do adjourn.
Second, we'll call a vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at,
7:15.
11:15.